Guys, we have a little bit of a moment here. They're here that you're, and we've got some cameras on them, but it's hard for you to see from these cameras. There's now an official protest going on inside the media tent. So after the roll call was over, some of the Sanders supporters decided that they were going to come into the media tent and do a protest. So they're now here. They're right over there. They're about 50 feet away from us. There's hundreds of them. And by the way, there's also hundreds of
thousands
reporters.
of media and about 20 protesters.
Right. And I assume that they are doing it here instead of at the Wells Fargo Center. And by the way, the Wells Fargo Arena is, if that's 50 feet, Wells Fargo Arena is what, 150 feet or so? So the media tent is right next to it. But I assume for security reasons, they probably would not have been allowed to do that inside the arena. And also because the media is here.
The media is here.
And so
people have no idea right now that they're missing Nancy Pelosi's speech.
Oh my God! Can you believe that?
They must be devastated about that.
Bro.
Hey, Michael, maybe you should head over there, and we'll show you guys some of the footage here later as we edit it in. But maybe you should go over there, Michael, and break their heart and tell them Pelosi's speaking.
I'd like to.
And maybe they just bum rush
But then
right back.
everybody would
into
leave. It could get dangerous as they're running out the door to get that
meeting
thing.
over there. Yes.
Yeah.
So now it has
media.
just begun, guys, and you saw us react to it as soon as it happened right behind us. But this is a positive disruption behind us, as opposed to other disruptions we've had on the show. Now that some of the chants have begun, we don't know how long it'll take. And if they keep chanting and it gets picked up on our mics, then I'm going to consider it a lot less positive. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay,
This is about us, goddamn.
Right.
It's about us.
It's a protest, and so this is what you're supposed to do at a convention. You're supposed to disagree. You're supposed to argue,
Yeah, see,
and
when
from
you hear
time
that,
to
you wanna
time
go
have a
over there.
protest.
When you want to go over there when you see it, when you hear it.
All right, here we go.
Snapping
There we
it.
go. You want to switch to that feed that we have of.
I think he's still in the.
Okay, we've
still
got a
in the convention
camera on it.
hall.
We're going to switch to it in a second. And they're chanting, "This is what democracy looks like," which is a refrain that Democracy Spring often has. A lot of protesters have. And right now, I'm not entirely positive who's leading the protest. But obviously, there's people disgruntled with the fact that Hillary Clinton is the nominee. And we will definitely get word to you on who's leading it and what the main ask is of the protests.
I think
which
JR
I think is important.
I think JR is live right now as well. If you want a different angle on it.
Okay, we're going to switch over to that feed in a second. Oh, you're seeing a little bit of it right there. You see some of the reporters and non-reporters taping it. That's a guy standing on a chair. I have described that really well.
Yeah.
But obviously the protest itself, you can't quite see from that camera angle.
Well, what is amazing is that all the talk of protest going into both of these conventions. Oh my God, scare. This is the protest we've gotten out of this convention.
Yeah.
Whatever is over our shoulders, which is about.
So, well, that's a really interesting point that I want to just expand upon, because they removed these protests so far from the convention. Mm-hmm. For example, in Philadelphia, it's actually worse than it was in Cleveland. It is about 8 miles away.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes about 20 minutes in traffic to get there. That's not a protest at this convention.
Right.
That's a protest that happens to be in the city at the same time.
Yeah.
So that is not a right. That's not letting them have their First Amendment rights, whether I agree or disagree. And there are plenty of protests I disagreed with in Cleveland, but they should all be able to protest right where the conventions happen.
Yeah.
So with Cleveland, I think that there was a fear regarding the open carry laws there, and as a result, those who put the event together wanted to make sure that they were far removed from convention goers and the politicians and the big names that would be there.
But can I just say, to be fair to Cleveland, they weren't that far removed. You could actually see a lot of the protests in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Here, you can't. There's no way you could see the protests except this one.
Yeah, the protest that happened at that square that I spoke at was not very far away. It was a 5-minute walk and maybe an 8-minute walk away.
So, the real reason that they're doing it here is because this is where the media is. And so unless you put it right in front of the media, oftentimes they'll be like, eh. So in our coverage on youtube.com/TYT, we've been covering all the protests in the street. And if you're watching live, you've been able to see it. We've taped a lot of it, and we put up those videos. We put it up on YouTube oftentimes. Members get everything. They get all of the videos, and that's tytnetwork.com/join to become a member. I'm not saying it as a plug. I'm just saying we are trying to do it as best as we can to cover all of it for you guys so you can see every aspect of this convention, including the protests.
It's a lot of police, by the way.
But,
Yeah,
but
there's a
we're
lot of
among
cops
the
coming
few who are attempting to do that as aggressively as we are. For everyone else, this is the only one they're going to see. So now we've got the feed. Jordan is out there tracking it. So let's go to that feed right now.
Sanders folks over here. Looks like they've occupied the media tent over here. Excuse me, excuse me.
The whole world is watching. The whole world is watching. The whole world's watching. The whole world is
Sir,
watching. The whole world
let
is
us
watching.
tell us what you guys are doing out here.
I'm from the state of Nevada. They ruined our state election. They corrupted it. The DNC has always been about Hillary or bust. Now the DNC will bust. I hope the Young Turks will be here on Thursday night.
So apparently they're not letting the media in the media tent. Sir, Mikey, we're media. Okay, so freedom of the press out.
It's a safety issue. No one else in it, okay? I can't control the crowd inside. No one else can.
We're media.
I understand that. I have too many people inside. It's a safety issue for my cops.
Oh, I see.
Right? Too many people in here.
Okay, because I see people leaving right now.
You can leave. You can't get back in.
Oh, I see. You can leave, but you can't get back in. All right, so Taylor's shooting it from outside. The Sanders delegates have pretty much occupied the media tent here.
Good afternoon. The name of this peaceful, quiet action is No Voice, No Unity. Members of delegations across the country felt compelled to respond to the needs of our constituents back home, to ensure that the grassroots voices all across this country, which energized and supported this campaign, are heard, are affirmed, and genuinely have a place at the table. We hope for unity. We believe that unity may be possible. However, unity must include the raising up of the grassroots voices that have been disenfranchised by a system politically and financially that has silenced voices, millions and millions of voices over decades. We come in peace. We come with the hope of cooperation, but we owe it. We have a moral obligation and a moral responsibility to the grassroots of this country and the 13 million voters who said they wanted Bernie Sanders as president, that they wanted change, real change. We owe it to them to ensure that their voices are heard.
Why have you taken over the media room? Why have you taken over the media room?
We believe that the media needs to tell the story of the grassroots movement around this revolution, and we believe that the media has not responsibly done so to the extent that it needs to.
Well, how does it stopping us from getting into our jobs help?
I'm not sure who's actually closed the doors.
Let me understand, you have less delegates than Hillary Clinton. So how is this democracy?
The democratic process has been abrogated by both the instances of election fraud and also the overlay of the superdelegate system.
But the superdelegate system is the rules of your party. I don't like it, but it's the rule of your party.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, at the end
it is in the process
yeah.
of changing, and we hope that we had hoped that it could change for this election cycle. It is a work in progress. We do believe that superdelegates render the process undemocratic.
Okay.
And Bernie Sanders supporters have felt for a long time that being told to unify is kind of condescending because they've not been treated that well here. Can you talk about how the delegates have been treated?
Many of our delegates have reported feeling unwelcome, have been feeling intensely pressured, in some cases insulted and confronted by Clinton's supporters, asking them to fall in line. Unity at the expense of the dignity of any human being is no unity at all.
And with WikiLeaks recently coming out showing that the DNC mocked Bernie Sanders, actively campaigned against him, does this play a part into this unified walkout?
I think it certainly does, Jordan. I think that our primary issue at this point is the recognition that there hasn't been a basic respect and appreciation for the contributions that this movement and this campaign have made to re-energizing the Democratic Party. And until that's fully acknowledged systemically as well as emotionally, I think that Bernie's delegates and supporters around the country will feel that there genuinely isn't a place at the Democratic Party table. I sincerely hope that we can change that.
What role does Bernie Sanders play in this? Is he aware of this, and did he approve it?
Bernie has been focused on so many other things. Bernie has asked for us to unite. I believe that if the proper terms of unity are set and the voices of the grassroots are genuinely heard, genuinely, meaningfully heard, with mandates that ensure that what we have been fighting for and what Bernie has been fighting for throughout his career will actually be implemented, then I believe that unity might be possible. But we have a long way to go, and we have to do it quickly because November is right around the corner.
Is corporate media part of this? A lot of Bernie delegates feel corporate media actively worked against Bernie Sanders. He had huge rallies. They were showing empty podiums of Donald Trump. You're at the media tent. What culpability does media have in this?
I happen to believe that media could, in fact, play a transformational role in telling the true stories of the people whose lives have been transformed by this movement. I believe that corporate media does indeed have a responsibility to raise the bar of journalistic accountability and transparency in its own process. I think many people have become aware in entirely new ways through this election cycle about the role that media has played positively and certainly negatively in shaping political bias across the country. I do believe that it is time for that to change, and I call upon all of your colleagues in the media to sincerely look at the way we tell the stories of our country and our world, and look sincerely at bringing a new level of authenticity and honesty to this process.
Thanks, Charlotte.